Alright, I returned. Let me... I hear the seagulls crying. I hear them. There it is. They're calling out to me. They're saying, Austin, we need to read more Umineko. And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, we do. Alright, let's... I mean, I don't feel the need to quickly recap... Or, like, lengthfully? Is that a word? Recap what we did last night. Because it was just last night that we played about 2 hours of Umineko. But we confirmed Eva's and Hideyoshi's death in the room that they spent just as they were seeing... I was gonna say seeing eye to eye. That's not really what happened. It was more like they were just like, I don't know, loving each other. They had a moment of realness. That's how I'd put it. They were having a moment of realness. Maria continued her bullshit. Battler is willing to accept that Beatrice is real with everything that has happened, it seems. Also, Cannon died. That was the one lasting thing since last night. Over the last, like, almost 24 hours. Probably more closer to, like, 22 hours at this point. Over the last 22 hours, I was thinking a lot about, like, what was Cannon's goal? And I guess I'm just supposed to pull that he was just like, I'm tired of all this shit, and I'm either going to go out, or I'm either going to win this challenge against, assumingly, Beatrice, and be a hero, and exact revenge for, like, Shannon and everything, or I also don't want to be a part of this anymore, and a part of whatever Beatrice the Witch is planning, so if I die here, I'm totally fine with that outcome as well. Those are the only kind of, like, conclusions I feel like I could draw at the moment. Who knows what Cannon was thinking? It's impossible. It's impossible to know. We'll never know now. Alright. We may not be able to go full 2 hours, kind of like we did last night, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm a sleepy, tired boy tonight. I was a sleepy lad, so we'll see. In the end, 3 words in, and I mess up the first word. Oh. Alright, it's all good. It's all good. It's not an Austin stream. It's not a stream here unless I'm messing up some words. It's fine. Messing up. The irony. In the end, Kennington did not regain consciousness. Oh my god, we just start in, and we get the thing happening. Well, he's dead. God, the whole body covered there. Did I read this before? Burning the incinerator with the weapon resembling an ice pick sticking out his forehead. Okay, so yeah, he still had the forehead strike with the ice pick thing. Found in the boiler room with a weapon resembling an ice pick sticking out of his chest. How presumptuous of lowly furniture like that. Wait. I want it left on the characters. In the end, Kaneko did not regain consciousness. Even though Dr. Nanjo and the rest did all they could to heal him. Of course, there was very little that could be done on an island like this without medicine or proper facilities. However, Cannon was the only human ever to confront the culprit. If only he could give us some kind of clue. However, at the time they carried Cannon away, it was already too late. My sincere apologies. Without proper facilities, there was nothing I could do about such a serious wound.
いえ、無理もないことです。
No, that's perfectly understandable.
最善を尽くしてくださり、ありがとうございました。
Thank you so much for giving it your very best. Dr. Nanja's shirt has been sprayed by a violent spurt of blood, so it was easy to imagine the devotion with which he had tried to save Cannon's life up until the last second. Jessica was crouched in the corridor, crying softly. She had probably been taking care of Cannon-kun until the moment of his death. George Aniki tried to approach her with words of comfort, but when Jessica pushed him away, he stopped trying to force her to talk and left her alone.
私がカノンさんを一人で行かせなければ。
If only I hadn't let Cannon-san go alone. Oh. Sorry. Do not let that bother you. If you had been with him, you would probably have been attacked as well. He foolishly rushed on ahead and paid for his mistake.
そんな言い方ってねえぜ。
How can you say it like that?
カノン君は犯人の姿を見つけて勇敢に立ち向かったんだ。
Cannon-kun spotted the culprit and bravely stood up to them.
熊沢さんも一緒だったら犯人は躊躇して逃げることを選んだかもしれない。
If only Kumasawa-san had gone with him, the culprit might have hesitated and chosen to run away. Emotion-filled words that I never thought I'd hear coming from Jessica's mouth tumbled out. Kumasawa, looking truly sorry, could do nothing but hang her head. Jessica.
今は言葉をかけるべきじゃない。
You shouldn't talk to her now.
僕だって。そしてバトラ君もだろう。
It's the same for me. And probably you as well, right, Badler-kun?
もう何が何だかわからなくて心が張り裂けそうだよ。
We don't know what's going on, and it feels like our hearts are going to split open. There were tears in George Aniki's eyes again. Seeing Jessica break down, crying probably brought back the pain of losing his parents. I'd done my crying all at once, so I didn't feel like crying anymore. However, I understood how great the pain in their hearts was.
大丈夫だよ、ジェシカ。
It's okay, Jessica.
カノンにだってまたすぐ会えるよ。
Jesus. She has gone full demon. I get it. I am very much broken record. Every part I load into the stream and read more Umineko, I just constantly repeat stuff like, why the fuck do we allow Jessica to just be this chaotic ball of energy now? But it is so true. She's just spouting shit like this, and they're just like, well, we can't do anything about her. We must live with her. We must allow her to just wreak havoc. It's insane. You'll be able to meet Cannon again soon.
よしてくれよ。
Stop it.
そういう慰めはいらねえぜ。
I don't need you trying to console me like that.
ベアトリーチェは死者も失った愛すらも蘇らせる。
Beatrice will resurrect the dead and even love that has been lost.
だからきっとすぐに会えるよ。
So you'll definitely be able to meet him soon.
そしてきっとみんなで穏やかに過ごせるから。
Then everyone will be able to live in peace.
カノン君を殺したのがマリアに昨日手紙を渡したっていうベアトリーチェなのか。
So the one who killed Cannon-kun, is this Beatrice who supposedly gave you that letter yesterday?
そいつはどこにいるんだよ。
Where is she?
どこに隠れてるんだよ。
Where's she's Where's... Damn it, I messed it up. Where is she? Where's she hiding?
私が見つけて引き裂いてやる。
I'll find her and tear her apart.
言えよ。知ってるんだろ。犯人の正体を。
Tell me! You know who the culprit really is, don't you?
お前は何を知っていて何を隠してるんだ。
What do you know and what are you hiding?
話しやがれ。
Tell me! Damn it! Lady, please stop. Ooh. Ooh. Beatrice exists. Exists. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
ちくしょう、源氏さん離せよ。
Damn it, let go of me, Genji-san.
マリアが犯人を知ってる。
Maria knows who the culprit is.
しかもそいつは知ってて隠してるんだ。
And she's hiding their identity even though she knows.
そして俺たちの内情を伝えて殺しの手引きをしてるに違いないんだぜ。
She must be telling them what we're doing, guiding them as they kill us.
ジェシカ、静かにしなさい。
Jessica, be silent. Jessica grabbed at Maria. Genji tried to stop her, but Jessica could not be calmed. Alright, finally we're seeing Jessica take some action and exact revenge against Maria. Exactly what I was calling for. Violence against a small child. The next thing I heard was the sound of Aunt Natsui slapping Jessica's face. After that, only Jessica's sorrowful sobbing voice resounded throughout the hall.
マリアちゃん、
Maria-chan,
僕は君が断じて犯人ではないことを知っている。
I know there's no way you're the culprit.
君はいつも僕たちと一緒にいたし、犯人なんかと通じている時間はなかった。
You've been with us since the beginning. There was no time for you to communicate with any culprit.
だから聞かせてほしい。
So, I want you to tell me something.
君に昨日手紙を渡したベアトリーチェとは誰なんだい？
Oh. This Beatrice who handed you the letter yesterday. Who was she? Although those words seemed kind, they clearly showed that George still had some remaining doubts about Maria. He didn't actually grab at her. However, he felt exactly the same way Jessica did.
兄貴、
Aniki.
同じことは俺もさっき聞いたぜ。
I already asked her the same thing a second ago.
返事は同じさ。
Her answer was the same as before.
マリアちゃんの口から聞きたい。
I want to hear it from Maria's mouth.
ベアトリーチェとは
Who?
誰なんだい？
Who is Beatrice?
言ってもどうせ信じない。
Even if I told you, you wouldn't believe anyway.
それはどういう意味だい？
What do you mean by that?
ひょっとして僕らのよく知る人物が犯人で、
Could it be the culprit someone we know well?
君は何かの事情からそれをかばうために黙っているというのかい？
And you're keeping silent because you're covering for them for some reason?
君はあの手紙を誰にもらったんだい？
Who gave you that letter?
ベアトリーチェにもらったんだよ。
I got it from Beatrice.
何度だって言う。
I'll say it no matter how many times you ask.
手紙はベアトリーチェにもらった。
I got the letter from Beatrice.
ジョージお兄ちゃんがベアトリーチェを信じないのは殴れる相手じゃないから？
George Oni-chan, do you refuse to believe in Beatrice because she's not an opponent you can hit?
ジョージお兄ちゃんはやるせない気持ちを暴力に変えて誰かにぶつけたいと思っている。
You want to turn your feelings of helplessness into violence and beat someone up.
だから殴れる相手が人間じゃなきゃ収まりがつかない。
So you won't be satisfied unless your opponent is a capital H human you can hit.
だからそんなジョージお兄ちゃんには真実を話しても受け入れられない。
So even if I tell you the truth, you won't accept it.
だから言っても無駄。
So it's pointless for me to tell you.
信じない。
You won't believe.
でもマリアは何度も言うよ。
But I'll keep on saying it
真実だから言うよ。
because it's true.
ベアトリーチェはね、いるの。
Beatrice exists. Sorry, I was drinking water. I thought that laugh was gonna last longer.
黄金鏡の扉はもうすぐ開かれるよ。
The door to the Golden Land will soon be opened.
マリアはそこに行くの。
I'll go there.
ベアトリーチェが約束してくれたの。
Beatrice promised.
その世界ではママも優しくてパパも一緒で優しいの。
In that world, Mama's nice, Papa's with us and is also nice.
マリアは早くそこへ行きたいの。
I want to go there right away.
みんなはベアトリーチェのことを恐れている。
Everyone is afraid of Beatrice,
そしてそれは無理もないことだけど。
but that's only natural.
なら安心して。
So calm yourselves.
ベアトリーチェは言ってたよ。
Beatrice said so herself.
台風が去るまでに全てを終わらせるからって。
By the time the typhoon has passed, I'll have ended everything, she said.
あ、痛い。
Ouch!
饒舌なマリアも嫌いじゃねえが、とりあえずはそのくらいにしとけ。
Maria, I don't mind you being talkative, but let's leave it at that for now.
魔女はいるいる言ってたお前にとってさぞや現状は愉快だろうが、とりあえずそいつはお前だけで噛み締めとけ。
I'll bet this is all a pretty happy situation for you, since you're always going on about how witches exist, but keep that to yourself for now.
他人にまで押し付けるんじゃねえ。
Don't try to force that on other people.
おお。
That's the same thing I say when I open the door and it's someone with a religious pamphlet. They hand it to me. And then I tell them, I'm glad you guys think witches exist, but don't try to spread that. I don't know where this attempt at a joke is going. It was a failed joke. You continue. Maria says, ooh.
こいつ前から気持ち悪いやつだとは思ってたけど。
I know I've been creeped out by this girl for a while now.
おかしいぜ。どっかおかしいぜ。
But there really is something wrong with her.
バトラは思わねえのかよ。ケンジさんは？
Don't you think so too, Battler? Genji-san?
熊沢さんは？
Kumasawa-san?
母さんはどうだよ。
What about you, Mom?
マリアは犯人の正体を知ってて隠してる。
Maria knows who the culprit is and she's hiding it.
確かに直接手を下してるわけじゃないかもしれない。
Okay, maybe she hasn't done anything directly,
でも間違いなく犯人の一味だぜ。
but she's definitely working with the criminal.
そうさ、スパイさ。
That's right, she's a spy.
私たちと一緒になんかいさせられないぜ。
We can't let her stay with us any longer. Damn, I am Jessica. Jessica is me. Finally, some common sense displayed in this mansion. Did I read that? We can't let her. Yeah, okay.
マリアちゃん、
Maria-chan,
不謹慎な話を慎むべき時もあることを知りなさい。
you must realize there are times when indiscreet discussion is best avoided.
これ以上混乱に油を注ぐような真似が過ぎれば、
If you keep adding oil to the
おばさ
fire.
んも本気で怒ります。
Alright, that was a big fake out there. I even waited like a half second for her to. Whatever. Okay, if you keep adding oil to the fire, even I will get very angry. Aunt Natsui glared at Maria with frightening eyes. Maria was used to Aunt Rose's loud style of scolding, but she apparently hadn't built up resistance to Aunt Natsui's quiet sort of scolding. She shrugged. You know, it's the whole physically beating versus the I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed in you stare. She shrugged and kept her mouth shut. A desolate feeling filled the room. It felt as though things would just get more complicated if anyone spoke. How many people have already died? 6 people in Dad's group. After that, both Aunt Ava and Uncle Hideyoshi, Canon-kun, grandfather. There were a whole 18 people on this island, supposedly, and 10 of those people have been killed. That's more than half of us. And right now, there's absolutely no proof that the remaining 8 people will be safe.
とにかく今は仲違いをしている時ではありません。
At any rate, this is no time to quarrel.
犯人が神出鬼没に屋敷内を出入りしていることが間違いなくなった今、
Now that we are certain the culprit can enter and leave the mansion at will and strike out of nowhere,
私たちは明日まで身を守ることだけに専念しなくてはなりません。
We must give our undivided attention to surviving until tomorrow.
夏日おばさんに極めて同感だぜ。
I agree strongly with Aunt Natsui.
犯人探しは今夜ゆっくりできるさ。
We can figure out who the culprit is at our leisure tonight.
今はどこで籠城するかを考えた方がいい。
For now, though, we're better off finding a place to barricade ourselves in. As I said this, I pointed out the clock to everyone. It was already 8 o'clock at night. We had been receiving shocks over and over again since the early morning, and our bodies and minds were both completely tired out. There's still a long, long time until tomorrow. We needed to find some place to barricade ourselves in so we could rest our bodies and get even the smallest amount of relief.
私も同感ですな。
I agree.
私も含め、もうみんな体も心も限界まで打ちのめされています。
Everyone is already pushing their mental and physical limits, myself included.
今からそれを考えた方が賢明でしょうな。
I believe it would be wise to take that into account as we move forward.
そういうこった。
That's right.
敵はマスターキーに準ずるものを持っている公算が高い。
There's a high probability that the enemy's got the equivalent of a master key.
シャノンやカノン君、ゴーダさんはマスターキーを持ってましたか？
Were Shannon, Kanikun, and Goda-san holding master keys?
はい。
Yes.
勤務時間中だったなら身につけていたはずです。
They were supposed to have them on their person during work.
現場をいじらない方がいいったんで、そこまでは調べなかったのが、誰かの鍵が奪われている可能性は否定できねえな。
We didn't want to disturb the scene, so we didn't investigate that closely. Can't eliminate the possibility that someone stole a key from them.
そもそも犯人はバラ庭園倉庫のシャッターを開けるために一度使用人室を訪れている可能性があります。
In the first place, we know the culprit may have visited the servant room at some point to unlock the garden shed shutter.
そこでマスターキーをすでに入手していると考えて間違いないでしょう。
It's conceivable that they obtained a master key from there earlier on. There were many servants serving the Ishiromiya family. Because of that, there were several master keys. Furthermore, every time one employee started or finished working, the keys were passed between servants. And we had to acknowledge that this had probably gotten a bit sloppy at times in the past.
仮に殺された使用人の誰かのポケットから鍵束を拝借したとして、
Even if they borrowed a bundle of keys from the pockets of one of the murdered servants,
その鍵でも開けられない安全な場所はあるのか？
is there any safe place that even those keys couldn't open?
私たちはお仕事の都合上、すべてのお部屋の鍵を預かっております。
Because of the nature of our job, we have been entrusted with keys to all of the rooms.
お屋敷もゲストハウスもすべてです。
All of them in the mansion and in the guest house. Wouldn't they want to go in the grandfather's room? Kinzo? Wouldn't he... doesn't... I mean, unless I'm really misremembering. I thought only Genji had the key to that room, but...
つまり私たちはどこへ立てこもって鍵をかけようと意味がないってわけだ。
So in other words, no matter where we hole up and lock ourselves in, it'd just be pointless?
上等だぜ。鍵なんかいるもんか。来るなら来やがれってんだ。
Fine. Who cares about locking up? If we're gonna come, bring it on, damn it.
返り討ちにしてやるぜ。
I'll beat you at your own game.
敵は正面から来ないよ。
The enemy won't approach us from the front.
最初の6人はともかく、母さんたちやカノン君。
I don't know about the first 6. No, I'm choking on water. But if we look at what happened to my parents and Kennen-kun,
そしておじい様の霊を見る限り、敵は孤立した人間だけを狙ってる。
and even grandfather, the enemy has only gone after isolated people.
一部屋に固まっている僕たちのところへ堂々と乗り込んで来られるほどの力はないんだよ。
They don't have the power to assault all of us openly in a secure room.
そうだな。
That's right.
兄貴の言う通りだ。
It's just like Aniki says.
ひょっとするとおばさんのライフル銃が抑止効果として成立してるのかもしれないぜ。
And maybe Aunt Natsui's rifle can serve as a deterrent to stop them from attacking.
なら良いのですが。
I hope that is so, but
マリア、言いたいことがあるんだろうが、そいつは飲み込んでしばらく黙ってろ。
Maria, I know you want to say something, but keep it to yourself and stay quiet for a while. Oh. Maria probably wanted to say something about how witches weren't afraid of things like guns. But if she were to say it out loud, the atmosphere around here would start to get pretty edgy. I noticed and decided to put a stop to it.
よろしいでしょうか。
If I may.
一箇所だけ使用人の鍵束でも入れない場所。
I do know of just one place that cannot be entered, even with the servant key rings.
それはどこです？
Where is that?
はい。
That would be...
親方様の書斎です。
See, I was right. That would be the master's study.
私は反対だぜ。
I'm against this.
じいさまの気持ち悪い部屋になんか入りたくない。
I don't even want to think about going in grandfather's creepy room.
あの部屋に入れる鍵は何本あるんですか？
How many keys can gain access to that room?
2本です。
There are two.
1本は常に私が。
I always have one on my person.
もう1本は親方様がお持ちでしたが、先ほどボイラー室の遺体からこれを。
The other was held by the master himself, but just now, I found this on the corpse in the boiler room. Genji-san took a handkerchief out of his pocket and opened it, showing us the burnt and filthy study key. Then, he showed it alongside his own key, which he had once lent to Natsui.
本来なら警察のために鍵も残すべきだったのですが、
Normally, it would have been proper to leave the master's key for the police.
親方様より書斎の留守は必ず守るようにと仰せつけられておりましたもので、私がお預かりさせていただいておりました。
But because of the master's orders to protect the safety of the study, I borrowed it for the time being.
なるほど。
I see.
ということは、金蔵さんの書斎は唯一の安全地帯というわけですな。
Which means that Kinzo-san's study is the only place where we can be safe.
そういうことになりますね。
It would appear that way.
あの怪しげな匂いの部屋に一晩も立てこもるなど考えたくもありませんが、
I don't even want to think about being shut up in that strange room all night.
あの部屋が一番安全であることを今は認めなければならないようです。
But it appears we must acknowledge that his room is safer than anywhere else right now.
その安全な部屋に閉じこもってたじいさまを犯人は連れ出して殺してる。
Even though grandfather locked himself up in that safe room, the culprit brought him out and killed him.
絶対安全とは言い切れねえけどな。
We can't be certain that it's truly safe.
バトラ君の説のおじい様がうまくレシートをやり過ごして自分の意思で部屋を出た。
According to your theory, grandfather cleverly found a way around that receipt trick and left the room of his own free will.
と考えるなら、籠城の価値はあるかもしれない。
If so, the room might be a good place to barricade ourselves in after all.
楽観的すぎだぜ、兄貴。
You're too optimistic, Aniki. However, at the same time, I thought he brought up a pretty interesting point. After all, this gives us a chance to question the enemy, the witch herself, about how the sealed door had been opened. If we assume the culprit used some technique to kidnap grandfather from his study... Oh, one sec. Okay. If we assume the culprit used some technique to kidnap grandfather from his study, they'd have to show us the same trick again if they wanted to assault us in the study. And that'd give us a chance to make the culprit prove how they did it right before our eyes. If she's really a witch, we'll be forcing her to use her little magic trick to open the door right in front of us. But that's probably impossible. If you spin the chessboard around, it's obvious the culprit is acting in a way that'll make us think they're a witch. If she really is a witch, all she's got to do is appear in front of us and wow us with a colorful display of magic. Since she's avoided doing that, everything must be the work of a fake witch who wants us to think she's real. Therefore, the culprit who used a technique other than magic to defeat the closed room couldn't open the door before our eyes.
じいさんの部屋ってのは8人で押しかけても大丈夫なくらいの広さなんすか？
Is grandfather's room big enough to stuff 8 people in?
はい。
Yes.
ベッドにソファー、毛布類もありますので、贅沢を言わなければ十分に夜を越すことができます。
There's a bed, a sofa, and blankets. So while... Wait, there's a bed, a sofa, and blankets. I think I read that wrong. So while it is not luxurious, it will be more than suitable for spending the night.
流しにご不浄、冷蔵庫に酒棚もあります。
There's also a sink, a bathroom, a refrigerator, and a liquor cabinet. Ah. I too, right before I'm about to get murdered, would want to get sloshed up. I would go so hard on the liquor in there, because the grandfather's dead, and you're only apparently going to be there for one more night. You might as well. If you're going to get murdered, like if I was to get murdered, I would want to be pretty drunk if it was going to happen. And then, if you don't get murdered, then you just have a fun night, and then you're off the island. Oh, it is. It's probably like really fancy, nicely aged. The fancy brand stuff. Ugh.
ひゅー。
Whoa.
そいつはすげえぜ。
That's incredible.
しかし、おかしなもんだな。
But isn't that weird?
自分の家の中にさらに自分の家を作ったってのか？
You're saying he built another house inside his house?
島を丸ごと買って自分の夢を全て実現しきったじいさまの最後の家にしちゃ随分手狭なんだな。
That's pretty cramped for the last house of someone like our grandfather, who bought a whole island and realized all of his dreams.
そうですね。
That's right.
いつの頃からかお父様にとっては屋敷内ですら心を許せる場所ではなくなってしまったのでしょう。
After some point in time, Father probably couldn't feel at peace in any other place, even inside the mansion.
そこに引きこもっていたのを私たちは嘲笑い、そして今度は私たちがそこに立てこもろうってわけだ。
We always sneered about how he shut himself up in there, and this time, we're the ones who are going to shut ourselves up. Huh. The irony again. Jessica spat the words out.
ジェシカちゃんは立てこもるより犯人を探しに行きたいという感じだね。
Jessica-chan, it sounds like you'd rather go search for the culprit than stay shut up somewhere. I really love how they say, like, shut up. Like, shut up. Oh, you're shutting up in there. It's just a interesting way of phrasing that. Shut up. Whatever.
もちろん
My
こっ
brain's
ちから探し
processing
に行っ
it.
て見つけられるなんて思っちゃいないぜ。
Of course. I don't think we'll be able to find them if we just start searching on our own.
結局は待つしかない。
In the end, we can't do anything but wait.
ならどこで待ったって同じだろ。
The
逃げも隠れもしない。
and what the hell happened to this text? The and it doesn't matter where we wait, does it?
客までテレビでも見ながらのんびり現れるのを待とうじゃねえかよ。ベアトリーチ様をよ。
I'm not gonna run or hide. The text is acting funky. Why don't we just take it easy in the parlor, watching TV or something while we wait for this Beatrice Sama to appear?
現れなければ現れないで十分です。
Man, this game is slowly building up to at the point where whenever this supposed Beatrice makes her appearance, that moment is building up to such a big hype moment. If she appears and it's just like a wet fart, like just like a and it's like not like this big epic story moment, I would be very disappointed. But I trust. I'm at this point in Umineko series. I trust the writers. I trust the story to not disappoint me in this. It's perfectly fine if she doesn't appear.
犯人を暴くのは私たちである必要がないからです。
There's no need for us to be the ones who expose the culprit.
正論ですな。
Well said.
警察が来るまで危険を冒すべきではありません。
We shouldn't take needless risks before the police arrive.
ありがとう南條先生。
Thank you, Dr. Nanjo.
私はお父様の書斎に移るべきだと思います。
I think we should move to Father's study.
確かにお父様が連れ出された可能性があり、絶対の安全が保証されているわけではない。
True, we have no proof that it's safe since Father was taken out of there.
しかしバトラ君の推理の
However, I can't deny the possibility that
お父様が何らかの方法で自ら書斎を出て外で襲われた可能性も否定できません。
as Battler-kun reasoned, grandfather left the study of his own accord and was attacked outside. I love these diagrams. A while back, I proposed that strange theory as a stopgap measure. But just as Aunt Eva said, even though that trick would be possible, I couldn't explain what motive could have made grandfather sneak out of his own study in such a troublesome way. Plus, grandfather couldn't even have used that trick unless he knew that the receipt was wedged in the door. Aunt Eva hadn't pointed out that last part, but it's clear how absurd the theory is, or was. So, does that mean the sealed door formed a closed room, just as Aunt Eva claimed? Is it an undeniable fact that Aunt Natsui was the culprit? If Aunt Eva were here now, she'd probably make that claim openly and blow my strange theory away. But anyway, I had to admit that a room with both a bed and a toilet that all 8 people could be shut up in, and with only 2 keys, both of which were gathered here, had to be the safest place in the mansion right now. At the very least, I figured this would be better than just staying shut up in the parlor and hoping nothing would go wrong. But wait, have we been safe only because we've been shut up in the parlor? What if leaving that room and moving to an unexplored location is actually more dangerous? Ah, it's useless. It's useless. It's all useless. My flimsy head is about to break out in a fever. If I keep spinning the chessboard around, right and wrong will keep switching places over and over, and I won't be able to believe anything. When it seems like the culprit is one of the 18, I want to believe in Beatrice. And once I start believing in Beatrice, I start wanting to find the culprit amid the 18. If that keeps spinning around forever, in the end, my thoughts won't have taken one step from where they started. Oh, the dilemma. Oh, the dilemma. How far back in the past was it that Kairi-san taught me about chessboard thinking? A concept of examining the situation by spinning it around and thinking from the enemy side. I seem to remember being so interested by it back then, I used it to guide all my thinking. By the way, Kairi-san was Dad's co-worker back then. I never dreamed that she'd someday be added to our family. Damn. Getting into a romantic relationship with a coworker? I'm trying to have a thought about getting into a relationship with a coworker, and then this starts playing. I'm like, well, my train of thought has been ruined because I'm now being plagued by some like slasher movies like theme. Didn't Kairi-san tell me something once? I get the feeling she once said that while this chessboard thinking was one way to look at things, it certainly wasn't all powerful, and it wouldn't be good to rely on it too much.
チェス盤思考ってのはね、
Chessboard thinking
昔本で読んだゲーム理論というものを私なりに解釈したものよ。
is my own interpretation of something called game theory, which I read about in a book long ago.
とても面白い学問だから、バトラ君も大学に入ったら挑戦してみるといいわよ。
Oh man, game theory discussions and thinking is extremely my shit. I am such a nerd about like game theory and thinking about like shit like this. If this is what this story ends up becoming, if the rest of this game story is just like game theory discussion and stuff, then easy money. It's a very interesting subject, so you should tackle it yourself when you get into college, Battler-kun.
ぜひやってみたいっす。
I really want to try it.
それを勉強してチェス盤思考をもっと鍛えたら どんな相手の手の内も読めるみたいで楽しいじゃないですか。
If I could study and perfect my chessboard thinking, it'd be fun to be able to read into any opponent's moves, wouldn't it?
でもね、盲信しちゃダメよ。
But you can't believe in it blindly.
ゲーム理論は非常に奥深く複雑な学問なの。
Game theory is a very deep and complicated subject.
チェス盤思考はその上辺だけを私なりに解釈した考え方に過ぎない。
Chessboard thinking is just my interpretation that skims the surface of game theory.
バトラ君が想像するほどに相手の手の内を読み切るには相当の勉強が必要よ。
In order to thoroughly read your opponent's moves like you're imagining, you need to study your opponent.
しかもチェス盤理論は応用の効く便利なものではあっても完璧ではない。
Additionally, while chessboard theory is convenient and practical, it isn't perfect.
便利ではあっても弱点が多い。
It has many weak points despite its convenience.
弱点
Weak points?
ええ、
Yes.
チェス盤思考の基礎はゲーム理論。
Chessboard thinking is founded upon game theory.
ゲーム理論は突き詰めると数学に行き着くの。
But man, we're just saying the word game theory over and over again. When you thoroughly investigate game theory, it boils down to math.
数学の弱点は何か知ってる？
Do you know what the weak point of math is?
ノイズよ。
It's noise. Noise. In math, when you write 1 plus 1 equals 2, that process will always result in 1 plus 1 equals 2, no matter how many billions of years pass. Nothing more, nothing less. That's because there's absolutely no noise mixed in. But, for example, unlike math, the Japanese language has noise mixed in. Kanji are a good example. Old kanji and new kanji are slightly different, which represents an introduction of noise created by the changes between time periods. Isn't history the same? There are dozens of policies that seem foolish in the modern era, but were meaningful at some point in the past. Because the rules of chess are fixed, when a pair of experts are discussing one particular layout, it's possible they could reach the same conclusions whether they're from 100 years in the past or 100 years in the future. However, if the rules of chess had gone through massive changes over time, it's possible that a discussion about the same layout would have changed as well.
その通り。
That's right.
人の世の事象は本来ノイズだらけなのよ。
Events in the world of humans are normally full of noise.
人の感情だってそうでしょ？
Aren't human emotions that way?
全く同じことが起こったからといって人は必ず決められた反応を示すとは限らない。
Even if the exact same thing occurs more than once, there's no guarantee that humans will always act in a predictable fashion.
それを数学の理論で当てはめ相手の行動を読もうとする時点で
The moment we try to use a math-based theory to predict someone's actions,
すでに理論には弱点と限界があることを知らなければならない。
we must be aware that our theory has built-in weaknesses and limits.
手っ取り早く言うとチェス盤思考はノイズや気まぐれそして誤解認識ミスに非常に弱いの。
Simply put, chessboard thinking is extremely weak against noise and fickleness, as well as mistakes or incorrect knowledge. That's right. Kairi-san definitely said that. Chess has always been a game where both sides play by the same rules and fight with the same conditions for victory. That's why it's possible for both sides to predict the other's moves. It's possible to read your opponent because you can always suppose they'll make the best moves they can find. But what if your opponent is fickle or a bit tired? It makes a move that can hardly be called the best. Or what if this game actually has a special rule? Some unknown thing that only the enemy knows about and can use. In fact, what if the opponent actually has some goal other than victory? Think from the enemy's perspective. That's the basis of chessboard thinking. Which means if you misread your enemy, the answer you draw from this process will be complete rubbish. Useless. So far, I've used chessboard theory to guess several vague bits of information about the culprit hiding behind this case, or so I think. However, I don't know anything about the culprit. Am I just playing around in a labyrinth of thought? If Kairi-san were here at a time like this, she'd probably be able to notice something with her much, much sharper thinking ability. Until the very last moment, Jessica resisted moving into Grandfather's study. But in the end, Aunt Natsui persisted, and we decided to move there. Everyone is completely wrapped in paranoia by now. Kumasawa-san had prepared dinner at one point, but during the time we were discovering the deaths of George and Iki's parents, both the kitchen and the parlor had been left empty. Someone suggested that the food might have been poisoned while we were gone. Because of that, we were unable to even touch the food that Kumasawa-san had taken the trouble to make for us. The manner in which the first 6 were killed was still unknown, but it certainly could have been poison. Certainly that would allow even a single person to carry out the murder of 6 large adults. Furthermore, this idea made it easy to imagine that there being only a single culprit, one who'd be afraid of Aunt Natsui's rifle. And this was very good for our emotional stability. But the fatigue and hunger were even harsher than we'd imagined. Then, Kumasawa-san made a proposal and we all went together into the kitchen. There, we gathered some canned food and other things that'd be hard to poison to take in with us. All of Kumasawa-san's efforts to reward us with just a little dinner on this savage day regrettably came to nothing. The food piled up on the serving cart looked just a little sad. We all started climbing the stairs. Aunt Natsui, who was in the lead, warily stared into the darkness with both eyes and the barrel of the gun. Once we dragged ourselves up to the 3rd floor, just as Aunt Natsui had warned us of beforehand, there was a mixture of a chemical smell and a sickly sweet aroma, a stench hanging in the air that felt like it was eating into our heads.
なるほど。こりゃ一晩もこもったら頭痛にでもなりそうな匂いだな。
I see. This kind of stench probably would give you a headache if you were shut in with it for a whole night.
今更ながら、じい様の書斎に反対したジェシカに賛成だぜ。
I know it's a little late, but I'm with Jessica. I vote against going to grandfather's study. I felt like the stench was floating out from this magnificent door. It was the door to the forbidden study, which should defend against any who would enter. While Genji-san unlocked the door, Maria stared at the door and the doorknob with great interest. See, this is where I would make my stand, and I'd say, Maria, you don't get to be with us. If you're so in love with Beatrice and you're apparently on her side, you can find some other room. As simple as that. As simple as that.
Oh.
Ooh.
すごいドア。
You can't sit with us. Exactly. She can't. Dude, you can't. I'm sure they're like, she's family and she's a child, but at some point you just have to be like, you clearly have like an immunity. Like, you are not going to get touched by Beatrice, apparently. So, why? Incredible door.
古くいかめしくて冗談の通じなさそうな、いかにもじい様の書斎にふさわしい扉だよな。
I think I touched upon it before, but like, the only reason I could think you wouldn't really heavily say something like that to her is, like I said, if you're the defense, oh, she's family and a child, we can't just leave her behind or whatever. Fine, but that seems increasingly dumb. But 2, if you truly view Maria as the possible link to Beatrice, if she's real or not, like, they've had to be relying on Maria to decipher like the Hebrew on the you know, the markings with the blood-like substance and stuff like that. So they're like, well, she's our only potential contact and link to Beatrice, so we have to keep her around. A necessary evil, you could say. Oh well. It looks old and strict, and like it'd stop any jokes cold. A perfect door for grandfather's study.
霊的な悪意を退ける力がとても強く込められている。
The power to ward off spiritual menaces is strong here.
多分、ベアトリーチェはこの扉を開けられないね。
Beatrice probably couldn't open this door.
お？
Oh?
それどういうことだ？
What does that mean? Maria pointed at the doorknob. A scorpion crest. No, a design like a magic circle ranged around a scorpion was inscribed there. That design. That's right. Isn't it just like those keychain charms Maria gave Jessica and me yesterday?
火星の5の魔法陣は強力な魔除け。
The 5th magic circle of Mars is a strong ward against magic.
しかもこの魔法陣は相当丹念に作られていて、力がよく満ちている。
Additionally, this magic circle was very diligently constructed and is full of power.
魔の者であるベアトリーチェにとって、この魔法陣はとても厄介だろうね。
Such a magic circle can be quite troublesome to beings of magic like Beatrice.
それは心強いじゃねえか。
Then why is Maria here then? You're saying like if you bring Maria with you, then like she's basically you're inviting Beatrice to them? I can't 100% tell. I mean, maybe everyone... Battler seems like he wants to confront Beatrice. Everyone else... Of course, Maria wants to see Beatrice. And everyone else is like, I don't want Beatrice to approach us because we're gonna die if she does. But for some reason, I get the sense Battler's like, yeah, I want to have a word battle with Beatrice or something. Like, he's just like gung ho. But I get it. It is like, okay, if she's isn't that comforting?
この部屋ならベアトリーチェのマッシュから逃げられるってことだろ。
Are you saying we can escape even Beatrice's clutches in this room?
うちの魔女様は実に頼もしいぜ。
Our little witch here sure is reliable.
ならベアトリーチェはどうやって中のおじい様を？
Then how did Beatrice get grandfather out?
バトラが推理した通りだよ。
Just as Battler reasoned,
ベアトリーチェは中に入れない。
Beatrice can't go inside.
でも彼女には魔法があるし、使い魔だっている。
However, she has both magic and familiars.
それらを使って、おじい様が自分から書斎を出てくるように仕向けることはできるかも。
Using them, she might have been able to get grandfather to leave the study of his own accord.
ああ、漫画で読んだな。
Ah, I've read about that in manga. Of course.
吸血鬼は十字架が怖くて近づけねえけど。
I've seen a bunch of scenes where vampires were frightened of crosses, so they couldn't get close.
使い魔たちはへっちゃらなんで、使い魔に襲わせるみたいなシーンを読んだことがあるぜ。
But their familiars were just fine, so they made their familiars attack.
バトラたちに昨日あげたサソリのキーホルダーのようなお守りも、この火星の5の魔法陣だよ。
Those scorpion keychain charms I gave you yesterday also have the 5th magic circle of Mars on them.
込められている力は微々たるものだけど、この島を出るまでの間を守ってくれるだけなら十分だった。
The power dwelling within them was weak, but they should be enough to protect you until we leave the island.
なくしちゃったそうだけどね。
Although it sounds like you've lost yours, right?
サソリのキーホルダーのお守り。
Scorpion keychain charms?
ああ、
Yeah,
昨日私が母さんに渡したお守りはマリアにもらったものだったんだよ。
the charm I gave you yesterday was something I got from Maria.
ドアノブにかけると魔除けになるとか言われて、私より母さんの方がいいかなってあの時は思って。
I heard it would repel magic if you put it on your doorknob, and at the time I thought maybe it'd be better if you had it.
そうでしたか。
Is that so?
ジェシカにしては変わったものを持っていると思っていました。
I thought it was an odd thing for you to be carrying around.
夏日おばさんがあれを
Aunt Natsui put that
ドアノブに？
on her doorknob?
ええ。
Yes.
夕べそう聞き、寝る前に扉の内側のドアノブにかけました。
Last night, after hearing about it from Jessica, I hung it from the doorknob on the inside of my door.
なら、夏日おばさんはとても幸運だよ。
Then Aunt Natsui, you're really fortunate.
そうだったなら夕べ、ベアトリーチェは夏日おばさんに指一本触れられなかっただろうね。
If you did that, Beatrice probably couldn't even lay a finger on you yesterday.
ベアトリーチェはさぞや悔しがったと思うよ。
I think Beatrice must have been really annoyed. Beatrice? Annoyed? Couldn't lay one finger? Natsui thought back on that eerie scribble she'd seen that morning, as though someone had been tearing at the outside her door with blood-soaked hands, and gasped in surprise. Oh! Oh. Could it be that this witch who called herself Beatrice tried to enter through the door to Natsui's own room, but the magic repelling charm had been hanging from the inside, so she couldn't even break through the door? So she was annoyed. So she scratched at it?
よせよ、そういう話。
Quit it. Don't talk about that.
魔女なんかいないぜ。
Witches don't exist.
いるのは犯人。
The culprit does.
それも私たちと同じ人間だ。
And they're a human just like us.
それを確かめる必要があるってなら、八つ先にして血が赤いかも確認してやろうじゃねえか。
If you need proof, why don't we dice her up and see if her blood's red?
くそ。くそ。
Damn it. Damn it.
よくも。カノン君を。
How could you do that to Canon-kun? Click. Genji unlocked the door. 8 people entered Kinzo's study. Oh, it's a study. Look at all that alcohol. Beatrice? Grandfather's study. I'd heard rumors about it beforehand, so I wasn't that shocked. He had done nothing more than fortify it thoroughly with his occult hobbies. If grandfather's hobby had been chasing after pop idols, these walls might be buried beneath idol posters. Okay. Even if I didn't understand it, I did realize that this room was a bundle of all his pastimes. Even so, I couldn't help but remain dumbfounded by the smell of his creepy medicine and a sweet stench that seemed to melt my head. Man, this would be such a different game if we were being terrorized by pop idols. Man. And not the occult. When the doors closed, it automatically made a clunk. I see. This is the auto lock that's activated whenever the door is closed. And there are only 2 keys that could open this door from the outside, both of which were in this room. In other words, it had become a closed room. The shutter, the receipt, the chain. And now, the auto lock. This 4th door had the most magnificent lock yet, and this was doubtlessly a closed room. Just to make absolutely sure that the room was secure, we checked all over for ways in or out. The window was tightly locked. That should have been enough, but just in case, we tried knocking all over the walls. After all, we had talked about there being a hidden door in this room, but we couldn't find anything suspicious. Grandfather's study was very large. Even though we called it a study, it wasn't really a single room. It could be divided up into 4 basic sections. A study section, a bedroom section, a toilet bathroom section, and a section for cooking that had a sink. I see. The study really does have enough in it to live in. Now I see how grandfather could live his whole life in this room without ever leaving. It seemed grandfather was in the habit of watching TV because there was no television or even a radio in this room. Very old school. We can't do anything except pass the time listening to the sound of the rain until tomorrow morning. Dr. Nanjo looked closely at the chessboard that sat on the table in front of the sofa and muttered. He murdered. It was apparently the partly finished chess match he'd been playing with grandfather until yesterday. The black had the white pretty well cornered, and it looked like checkmate would be reached within a few moves. The last part of the endgame. You know, the toilet/bathroom area. Even though checkmate had almost been reached, the endgame had been rushed. And in the end, was never completed.
Kinzo-san.
Kinzo-san.
やはり
It seems
この勝負は決着がつきませんでしたな。
we weren't able to see this match through after all.
Nanjo-sensei.
Dr. Nanjo.
わしは長く金蔵さんの友人だったが、金蔵さんのことを知っているのは半分だけでしかなかった。
I was Kinzo-san's friend for a long time, but I never knew about more than half of him.
金蔵さんにはいつも聡明な金蔵さんと何かの恐怖にとらわれた金蔵さんの2人が同居していたように思う。
I believe two Kinzos existed, a wise one and one trapped by some madness.
わしは金蔵さんのことを何も理解してはおらんかった。
I never understood anything about him.
特にベアトリーチェ様のことになると人が変わったようでしたっけね。
Especially when it came to Beatrice-sama, it would seem like his personality changed. In the direction of Kumasawa-san's upward gaze, a portrait of Beatrice could be seen. It wasn't massive like the one hanging in the entrance hall, but small, made for this room. Grandfather probably spent every day in this room, and so much of his time talking to the witch in that portrait. Who was Beatrice to Grandfather in the first place? Right now, you couldn't just explain it away by saying it was a story made by the parents to frighten children away from wandering into the forest. While eating the canned food we brought from the kitchen, we talked together about who Beatrice was. Whether the culprit was Beatrice herself or someone pretending to be her. Whether they were a witch or a human. That was besides the point. The woman in this portrait was strongly related to the roots and background of this case. You couldn't talk about this case without talking about her.
そうだ。
That's right.
母さん、エヴァおばさんたちの部屋で犯人の手紙を拾ったんでしょ？
Mom, you picked up the culprit's letter in Aunt Eva's room, right? Yeah, we really should read the letter. You know, just in case it says something important. Yes.
まだ開けていませんでしたね。
I still haven't opened it.
開けてみましょう。
Let's give it a try. And Natsui took out that western envelope. Genji-san pulled a paper knife out of a drawer in the study desk and handed it to her. While watching her open it, George and Nikki grimaced slightly. After all, it was a letter left at the site where his parents had been murdered. There was a good chance its contents would say something unbearable to Aniki. And Natsui also seemed to realize that, so she glanced over the contents first without reading it aloud. We were a little frightened that she might grimace after reading something shocking, but she just frowned unhappily.
内容は何と？
What does it say?
不愉快な一文があります。
There's one unpleasant sentence.
私たちを挑発するつもりなのでしょう。
It must be trying to provoke us. Natsui, after deciding that the contents could be shown to the children, set it openly on the table. Everyone stared at it at the same time.
我が名をたたえよ。
Praise my name.
なんだよこれ。
What the hell?
うっせえぜ。
That's annoying.
ベアトリーチェの勝ち名乗りみたいなものだろうね。
Wait, did we get like was there like a sound effect thing going on? Oh. Yeah, we had another like sound effect that meant I thought, okay, praise my name. Say my name. Okay. It's probably Beatrice declaring herself the victor. Damn it.
大方また怪しげな魔法陣でも出てくるのを期待してたんだろう。
I'll bet you were hoping another weird magic circle would show up.
魔法陣ではなかったけどね。
It wasn't a magic circle,
想像は裏切られなかったよ。
but my expectations haven't been betrayed.
どういう意味でしょう？
What could it mean?
自分の存在を誇示したいのでしょうか？
I wonder if she wants to tout her own existence.
そう考えるのが妥当でしょう。
That seems reasonable.
この手紙で初めて私たちは昨夜の手紙の主が犯人であると理解できる。
With this letter, we now know that the author of last night's letter is the culprit.
ここに書かれている内容よりも昨夜と同じ封筒でというところに意味があるものと思います。
I think the identical envelope is more significant than what is written here.
封筒も風浪も 間違いなく親方様が使われていたものです。
Without a doubt, this is the type of envelope and sealing wax that the master used.
おお、
Oh,
もう私には何が何だか分かりませんよ。
I don't know what's going on anymore.
こんなことは後ろ宮のお家にお仕えして以来初めてのことです。
I hate to say it, but if I had to place money on the next character to get taken out, I think it's gonna be a dual Nanjo and Kumasawa situation. If I had like a death watch count, like probability thing going on, I would not be surprised if these two get taken out and then it's just Genji, the 4 kids, and Natsui. Because that just seems like a good cast. If anyone else dies, I would say this feels likely to me. I would just like that on the record. Let the record show. I've placed my bets. I can't remember if I read this line. This is the first I've seen anything like this since I started working for the Ishinomiya family.
昨日の手紙の言う通りなら、ベアトリーチェは自称じい様の最古の腹心だ。
Going by last night's letter, Beatrice is claiming to be grandfather's oldest confidant.
じい様も常々そう口にしてたんですよね。
Grandfather often said the same thing in the past, right? I spoke to Genji-san and Kumasawa-san, who nodded together.
ってことは、じい様の次に詳しいのは源氏さんと熊沢さんってことになる。
Guess that means you two know more about her than anyone except grandfather.
話してくれないっすか。
Could you tell us?
私は長いことわざと耳にしなかった話です。
For a long time, I've purposely avoided this topic.
ですがこの期に及んではそうも言っていられません。
But now that it's come to this, I can no longer do so.
源氏、知っている限りを話しなさい。
Genji, tell us everything you know. Oh, we get to learn about Beatrice lore? Beatrice lore. Through the eyes of Genji. Genji-san didn't answer. Did he remain silent despite his knowledge, or did he know nothing at all? Still, I had a good guess. The ghost story of the witch Beatrice had long been defied among the servants. He had probably been very close to grandfather in his occult hobbies, so there was a good chance that he'd been indoctrinated with even weirder things and had increasingly come to defy the witch. As grandfather's most trusted servant, who had sworn loyalty to him, he might be the most influenced by the illusion of the witch that grandfather had created. So there was only one reason for Genji-san to remain silent. He could speak, but it would definitely cause a backlash, so it was better if he kept his mouth shut. And it wasn't like we'd believe him anyway. Something along those lines. Alright, I guess not Beatrice lore time. I spoke too soon. A short while ago, Maria had been more than willing to speak bluntly and unrestrainedly, and that had earned her a scuffle with Jessica. It was natural for Genji-san to keep his silence.
お父様の
Was she
愛人
father's
ですか。
concubine? His concubine. That could be possible. For ordinary poor people, polygamy isn't only viewed negatively from a moral perspective, it's also an unmaintainable financial situation. But that isn't the case for the very rich. It's possible for them to have another lover in addition to their real wife. We can't deny the possibility that grandfather had another woman in his life besides grandmother.
かもな。
Maybe
ばあ様は生きてた頃、よく疑ってたらしいぜ。
when grandmother was alive, I hear she was pretty sure of it.
浮気相手がいるってな。
She thought he was cheating on her.
俺はてっきりそれはじい様の想像の中の魔女のことを指してるんだとばかり思ってたんだわ。
I always thought she meant grandfather's imaginary witch.
そりゃなんとも面白い話になってきたぜ。
Now this is getting really interesting. I read that line in my head like 3 times, and I'm like, why would you say it like that? Now this is interesting. Now it's interesting. All these other, this whole other pastime, it has not been interesting. Now that we're talking about affairs, possibly? Oh. With a potentially attractive blonde witch lady? Yeah, let's go. Now this is getting really interesting. You told me, didn't you, Genji-san?
ベアトリーチェはこの屋敷ができる以前からじい様に仕えてたって。
You said Beatrice had been working for grandfather since before the mansion was finished.
お屋敷が竣工したのは昭和27年と聞いています。
I heard that the construction of the mansion was completed in Showa 27, 1952.
ってことはベアトリーチェという人は30年以上も昔からおじい様と連れ添っていたということになるね。
That'd mean this person called Beatrice was in a relationship with grandfather since at least 30 years ago.
その30年前の愛人、もしくはその縁者や隠し子が何かの恨みがあって何らかの復讐を企んだか。
Could that concubine of 30 years ago, or maybe a relative or hidden child with that person, hold some kind of grudge and be planning revenge?
なるほど。洋館ミステリーっぽいありがちなストーリーになってきたじゃねえか。
Yeah, I see. This is starting to sound just like your standard Western mansion mystery.
汚らわしい話ですが、一番納得できる筋書きです。
It's a filthy topic, but the easiest line of reasoning to accept.
どうですか、源氏。
What do you think, Genji?
おそらく親方様に恋愛の感情は終わりになられたでしょう。
The master surely had feelings of deep love for her.
亡くなられた奥様よ
There could be
り
no
愛しておられたに違いありません。
there could be no mistake that he cared for her more than his late wife.
ベアトリーチェってのは何者なんだよ。
Who is this person called Beatrice?
そして今はどうしてるんだ。
And what's she doing now? Oh.
お屋敷ができるより前にお亡くなりになったと聞いています。
I've heard that she passed away before the mansion was completed.
すでに死んでいる？
She's already dead?
はい。
Yes.
親方様は大層深く悲しまれ。
The master was deeply stricken by grief at her loss.
ベアトリーチェ様を蘇らせる方法として黒魔術に傾倒なさっていったのです。
And he devoted himself to the art of black magic as a means to revive her.
親方様はベアトリーチェ様を心の底から愛しておられたのです。
The master loved Beatrice Sama from the bottom of his heart.
このような狂気に駆り立てるほどに。
It was that madness which drove him to do all that you see here. As Genji-san said this, he spread his arms as though asking us to look at this room, filled with the signs of grandfather's madness. We were all at a loss for words. Normally, black magic seems like it'd just be creepy. It's really hard to imagine why someone might be so enraptured by it. Since Kinzo was just an eccentric who had restored the Ishimiya family amidst his madness, nobody had tried to understand him. The only thing on grandfather's mind had been the loss of a beloved woman, and his inescapable sorrow. Earlier, this room had seemed creepy, but in an instant, it had changed into something we could understand completely. The creepy books, the magic circles, the medicine, all of it. It all existed simply because he wanted to revive the face of a single woman who had left this world over 30 years ago.
一度だけ深く酔われた親方様にベアトリーチェ様のお話を聞かされたことがあります。
The master only told me about Beatrice Sama's story once, when he was very drunk.
詳しいことは忘れてしまいましたが、
Although I've forgotten the details.
それはもう
It was...
女の私が聞いて羨むような深い深い愛情でございました。
a deep, deep love, enough to make a woman like me jealous. I don't know if I'm willing to give Kinzo such a pass. It's almost like they're trying to do like a mini redemption, like, oh no, don't worry. He wasn't creepy. It was just because of love that he did these weird things. I'm like, okay.
金蔵さんは後宮家の当主を継いだ時、
When Kinzo-san succeeded the headship of the Ushirimiya family,
当時まだ生き残っていた後宮家の長老たちの意向で亡くなった奥さんとの結婚を決められたのです。
his marriage to his late wife had already been decided by the few surviving family elders.
つまり
So,
後宮家にとって得になる女性との結婚を強制された。
he was forced into a marriage with some woman who would benefit the Ushirimiya family?
さようです。
That is correct.
金蔵さんはお家復興のためだけに当主に据えられ、全ての重責を背負わされたのです。
Kinzo-san was installed as the head who would revive the family and had to bear the entirety of that heavy responsibility.
そんな金蔵さんがどこでどういう経緯でベアトリーチェと知り合ったのかは分かりかねます。
I do not pretend to know the details of when or where Kinzo-san first met her.
それ以上語るのは無粋だな。
Guess it'd be rude to say any more than that. That was when grandfather truly fell in love for the first time. Just how deep was his affection for her? That was easy to see just by looking around us. This room was covered with piles upon piles of things having to do with black magic. And grandfather spent every day shut in here, immersed in his research and isolated from the outside world, never regretting 1 minute of it. You couldn't help but recognize the depths of grandfather's love for Beatrice.
私誤解してたよ、ケンジさん。
I had it all wrong, Genji-san.
何をでしょうか。
What do you mean by that?
私、使用人の人たちが魔女を問診するのは、じい様の気持ち悪い黒魔術趣味に感化されてるからじゃないかってずっと思ってきた。
I've always thought that maybe you servants believed blindly in the witch because you were influenced by grandfather's creepy black magic hobby.
違ったんだな。
But that's not how it was, right? Right? I read that. I'm gonna retry that. But that's not how it was, right? By acting as though Beatrice's soul at least had been restored and existed inside this mansion, they might have hoped to soothe grandfather's heart. With closed eyes and the expression of one remembering something from the distant past, Genji had broken his long silence. In making that confession, he probably felt like he was betraying his one and only master in the most serious way, even though that person was already dead. Beatrice has revived as a witch, and she's in the mansion even now. Genji had said it, had believed it, had made people believe it, and would take that with him to the grave. This might have been the last service he could offer up to his master. The legend of the witch, the mysterious tale of Rokenjima that was still whispered of amongst the servants. Its true nature was a sad lie. No, it was an act of kindness towards grandfather, who had lost the person he loved above all else.
私はお父様の前で魔女を否定する話を何度か口にした覚えがあります。
I remember denying the witch's existence in front of father on multiple occasions.
今ならそれがどれだけお父様を傷つけていたか
Now
わかります。
now I finally understand how much that must have wounded him.
今の僕にならわかるよ。
Right now, I can understand very well.
シャノンを蘇らせる方法が黒魔術だというなら、
If I thought I could revive Shannon using black magic,
僕は今すぐにもこの部屋の次の主となって研究を始めるよ。
I'd immediately become the next owner of this room and start researching. Is that foreshadowing? Is George has got to do it, right? George, he said those words and he's like, wait, that doesn't sound like a bad idea. And he's gonna try to like Frankenstein together like a Shannon. Bring her back to life. Get that marriage through.
兄貴。
Aniki. Another strand of tears dripped from George's eyes. Maybe his tears were infectious. Tears rose to Jessica's eyes too, and she sniffled. And here comes Maria to ruin the fucking mood. Shut up, Maria. Okay, Beatrice has said it.
もうじき蘇ることができる。
Very soon, she'll be able to revive people.
会うことができるって。
You'll be able to meet them, she said. Very soon, the door to the Golden Land will be opened. In the promised land that glitters gold, the souls of all the dead will be resurrected, along with the love that has been lost. Then I will sleep in a world of peacefulness for all time.
そう言ったのか。
Did she say that?
マリアに手紙を渡したベアトリーチェは。
The Beatrice who gave you the letter?
信じないよね。
You don't believe, do you?
ここにじい様がいたなら。
If only grandfather were here.
きっと喜んだろうな。
I'm sure he'd be happy.
もうじきベアトリーチェが蘇ることにさぞや踊り上がって喜んだろうな。
I'm sure he'd be jumping for joy now that Beatrice is about to be revived.
なら俺は信じたぜ。
In that case, I believe.
じい様が半生をかけて研究したことで蘇り、愛した女の魂が蘇ったと信じて寿命を全うできるって言うんなら俺も信じたぜ。
If grandfather gave up half of his life for this research, trying to resurrect the soul of the woman he loved and spending the rest of his life believing, I'll believe too.
バトラー。
Battler.
一人の女性をずっと愛し続けた気持ちが
When you love a single woman for so long,
周りにも伝わり真実となる。
the people around you catch on to it, and it becomes the truth.
それを気遣いと呼べばそれまでだろうけれど、
Maybe you could say they're just being polite for the sake of your feelings.
今の僕はあえてそれを魔法と呼んであげたいね。
But right here, now, I like to call that magic.
気遣いじゃないよ。
It isn't just being polite.
本当に魔法だよ。
It really is magic.
魔女だよ。
She's a witch.
やっぱり誰にもベアトリーチェの姿は見えないんだね。
It looks like nobody can see Beatrice after all. Some time passed. As we listened to the sound of the rain, we considered what kind of love and madness must have possessed the owner of this room as he spent half of his life here.
女の私から聞けば、お父様の純愛の気持ちも少しは理解したいところ
Alright,
です。
we're gonna interrupt Natsui here. I'm gonna have to call it a night there. I've been yawning too often here. It's been a long day. We'll end here. We have one more stream tomorrow before I'm gone. It's looking more likely that it'll probably just because of how I'm probably gonna want to pack and everything. I'm gonna leave that to like the last moments. So most likely, if I can help it, if I'm not feeling lazy tomorrow, I'll try to actually probably do it most likely during the day, just so I can kind of like knock it out and then have the night to like pack and stuff for then Thursday to head out. That's what I'm envisioning. So, I think tomorrow, if I can, again, assuming I'm good on time and everything, I think I just want to hit up probably a little more Disco Elysium and also more Umineko. So it'll be another 2-part thing, then it'll be great. Then I think I should have enough backed up streams, then release throughout YouTube as I'm gone. It all makes sense. It all works out perfectly. So, I'm curious. I feel like at this point where I'm ending here on Umineko, I feel like something dramatic might happen in like 30 minutes of reading, but maybe that just leaves us a good cliffhanger for next time. Although, I will say, if something exciting doesn't happen tomorrow as I'm reading, and then I have to wait essentially like a week until I get back, there's gonna be a full week where I won't be able to stream. And I'm just going to forget everything about Umineko. I'm going to forget everything about Disco Elysium. I'm going to forget everything that's happening. It will just be a mess. At least my brain remembering what's been going on when I come back. Because I usually have, like, at max, like, a 2-day memory span on game events. So, we'll see how that goes when we cross it. But, yeah. That's the plan for tomorrow. We'll do some Disco Elysium. We'll do some Umineko. Ideally sometime midday, which I know makes for an awkward viewing experience live because how easy is it to watch streaming during the day, but I think for what I'm going to have to accomplish, it's probably going to be best for me packing-wise, because then I, in theory, can then spend tomorrow night packing. So we'll see if I stick to that, though. That requires me to actually get up early enough tomorrow and not be super lazy in the morning, which I feel like I could have a tendency to do if I don't have to get up for work and stuff. So yeah, but as always, thanks for watching live, thanks for watching archived, Twitch, YouTube, yada yada yada, all those things. Back tomorrow, and then gone for some time. So, until then, have a nice rest of your night.